Hey, it's Soleil, and this is episode 43 of the Orange Pill Investor. I ain't got no music. Um, I only got 45 minutes before I gotta do some trading with my son, so we are going to get right to it. I had about 10 fucking things that I wanted to talk about today, and I guess maybe I'll just string them along. Alternatives were gonna be like talking about Elon Musk and his only failure, which was Doge, and I kind of knew that was the only way that could turn out. But so the title of the episode is concerning this little segment, and I swear I had seen this before, but I guess I must have forgotten because I was hoping that Saylor would go on record about op return and filters, and I think it's one of the first tests that Bitcoin has faced since Bitcoin treasury companies have been at the forefront, I guess. And it's been interesting to think about whether they are going to be Bitcoiners or shitcoiners. Some of the maxis will tell you that you're a shitcoiner just for owning treasury companies in the first place instead of stacking sats. But if we ever get hyper Bitcoinization, then every company will be a Bitcoin treasury company. It's like the 7-Eleven will own Bitcoin. All the mom and pop stores will own Bitcoin. Frickin' Bank of America will own Bitcoin. Just everybody will have Bitcoin because everything else will be useless. So it doesn't bother me that Bitcoin treasury companies are in the space. We just have to be wary and hold them accountable and watch to see if they're actually Bitcoiners or not. Because companies like to do things like, the only thing that they think about is pumping the share price. And if that means shitcoining or having a shitcoin philosophy, then some will just do whatever they can to artificially exaggerate their KPIs, Bitcoin per share, sats per share. And if they are advocating against the network itself, and for me personally, that would be, supporting the direction that Core has been going in with, deviating from being very careful about contentious changes and being, basically reckless. It doesn't really matter if you believe in the tech or the technical explanations. It seems pretty obvious to me that if you have a contentious change, they should do what they had been doing for the last 10 years, which is be very suspicious and careful and just not move forward with them. So if they're no longer being careful, and I think it reminds me a little bit of, I'm going to mess up the Lysander Spooner quote, but he was talking about the Constitution, and regardless of whether you believe that the Constitution is good or not, the point is that it was it either explicitly authorized the Leviathan government that grew from it, or was unable to stop it. And so if Core, even when they were good stewards of the code, were unable to prevent spam from occurring because of mistakes that they made with SegWit and Taproot, right? They were either unable, even when they were being careful, to prevent those unintended consequences from happening, or they were intentionally creating loopholes in the code. So it doesn't even really matter if you are not bothered by the changes in V30 or not. It's, or how technically knowledgeable you are or not, or are not knowledgeable. It's clear that Core has either been unable or unwilling to safeguard the network. I think that's pretty clear at this point. So let's just take 1 minute and 51 seconds to listen to Saylor in Prague talk about this issue.
I think protocol proposals, however well-intentioned, can go horribly wrong. And I think that this debate we see right now over op return limits, this is actually a second order or maybe even a third order change. It's not changing the amount of Bitcoin, which of course is an atomic zero order change. It's not changing the block size, which is a first order change. It's somewhere in the second and a half to third order. But the reaction of the community, which is, to reject it, an inflammatory reaction, I thought was a healthy response. It's healthy to be skeptical of a third order change to the protocol, right? Because it might become a second order change, and and if it's a first order change, it puts everything at risk. And the biggest danger is a very talented, well-funded, well-intentioned developer trying to do something good. That's the danger, right? And that is fundamentally the issue, which is a very competent, well-funded, well-intentioned developer that wants to upgrade the protocol. That is the risk. The risk is, I've said this tongue-in-cheek before in my long business career, I don't regret my bad ideas because no one's stupid enough to pursue their bad ideas. I regret all of the good ideas that I pursued to the detriment of my great idea. Like, it's the good ideas that actually dilute the product, dilute the brand, dilute the network, and destroy the company. The good ideas will destroy the company. The good idea for Bitcoin will destroy Bitcoin. If I wanted to destroy Bitcoin, I would just fund infinite developers who are very talented and tell them to make it better.
All right, road to hell's paved with good intentions, right? I think that's the short version that everyone understands. Yeah, so there might be some good things in V30. There actually might be some good ideas in there. But you know what's a great fucking idea is leaving Bitcoin alone and making sure that you don't ruin Bitcoin with some good ideas, and the unintended consequences of those good ideas are catastrophic bad ones. So, with that being said, we'll check the chats and then get it going. What's up, Howard? Lunchtime for you, huh? I haven't had anything to eat for 3 days other than ribeye. Not even eggs. Usually I'll do steak and eggs, but apparently the way I've been cutting my steaks lately, they've been in the 10 to 11 ounce range. And if I eat 3 of those a day, that's basically my entire protein requirement. 1 gram per pound, plus a little extra because I'm getting old and can't synthesize protein as well as I was when I was a youngin'. If I get, if I cut it closer to like 8 ounces or something, that's only 40 grams, and I'll scramble a couple of eggs to get me to 50. So I hope you're having a great lunch full of protein. Any thoughts on the Semler Strive merger? I haven't signed any independent contractor shit with Strive yet, so maybe I don't have a gag order on me yet. Do I have any thoughts? I guess I was kind of surprised, but was that, I mean, I don't even really know what Strive's thing is. Like, are they, is that their thing? Have they been basically saying that's the strategy that they want to go for, is buying, I don't want to call it similar distressed, but I think they were trading at or below 1M now for a while. So you could argue that buying that Bitcoin was maybe at a discount. But then in the group chat that we've got for the unconference, somebody was saying that they paid a 200% premium for the company. And I don't know if that just means that 200% premium on the Bitcoin itself or on the share price. But if it's the share price, I think companies always get bought out at a premium so that their shareholders can't bitch, like they get rewarded, you know, that they're getting bought out at a higher price. And I'm assuming Strive went down because I think the company that acquires the other company usually goes down, and the company that got bought usually goes up because they're getting bought out higher. And then since the other company is buying the other one out, it's generally seen as you're almost kind of like you're diluting, because you're spending money in the hopes that it will make you some money in the future. So if Strive was made cars, and they're like, you know what, we're gonna raise a bunch of money at the ATM to spend 10 billion on a factory, the price would probably go down because the current shareholders would be like, okay, well, you're not going to actually show any profits on that factory for 5 years. So we're kind of like getting hosed here. Maybe long term it's good. So I would assume that's what this is about, right? Semler may have long-term value, but in the short term, they're acquiring another company at a premium. One of the suggestions in that chat was that maybe this allowed them to acquire a bunch of Bitcoin so that they can have a larger stack to offer preferred stocks. So if they come out with preferreds, then I think the person who mentioned that would probably be correct. But yeah, if they don't come out with preferreds for like 5 years, then maybe this wasn't part of that strategy. Maybe they just want to acquire BTC companies. I don't really know. I wonder if there's going to be a new metric like Bitcoin MNAV acquired per share. Like, how much Bitcoin can you acquire by acquiring companies? Acquired Bitcoin per share or something. I don't know. I'm sure somebody will have a new metric. If especially if more and more of these companies start to buy other companies, there'll be new metrics to follow. Yeah, I wish I had some insider information, but apparently people take that shit seriously, and I was just as surprised as everybody else. Let's see. Semler is 0.97 MNAV, and yeah, they're giving 21.05 shares for every share of Semler. ASST was 4 and Semler was 31, so really kind of paying 84. Oh, wow. 21 shares for every share. Yeah, I don't know how mergers work. Maybe that's the next rabbit hole I have to go down. All right, another little quick note. I've done an episode on cybersecurity. And of course, I've taken a number of countermeasures, but most of those things are just like direct measures. We always have to be responsible for defending ourselves against the social engineering part. And so it's funny because I got an invite to a podcast, to do a podcast, which I'll probably do on Wednesday. And then I got another invitation, not too, within a day or two of that one, and from someone else that I follow. So, somebody that I interact with for years, that person is a trusted, acquaintance on X. And so my guard was just way low, right? And like, sure, we'll go on this podcast too. No big shakes. And then, they're like, okay, well, let's make sure everything works. And the streaming platform, the link for the streaming platform that they sent seemed very legit, but it was actually not correct. It was for StreamYard, but instead of being StreamYard.com or whatever the official one is, it had something else in the URL. So of course, when I clicked it, it starts trying to install some kind of fucking malware. And luckily, the person was like, actually messaged me and was able to be in their account as well, and figured out that they had gotten hacked. So this person, this DM was coming from a trusted person, but from a trusted person who had been hacked. So I think, he mentioned, he's like, oh, I got hacked, change your passwords. So I spent the entire day yesterday downloading, extra protection malware software and doing scans and quarantining and fucking changing passwords and all that shit. It only took about 16 minutes to figure it out. And hopefully they didn't get much or get into anything. The funniest part was that hours later, they actually called me and, pretended to be the fraud protection from my email that they were trying to hack into. And of course, wanted me to give them the 6-digit code to confirm that I was still in possession of my my account or whatever. And, it should be obvious, but that's the one thing that you should never do is actually, like, no one from a reputable company is going to ask you for that code. Like, that's your code for you and you alone. And the text message that I even got said, no one will ask you for this code. Don't give it to anyone. And I kind of played along with the guy for a little bit just to see how far he'd take it. And he's like, oh, yeah. That's, absolutely never give that code to anyone, except us, except the company itself. So, yeah, I tell you what, one of my favorite channels is the guy that like scams the scammers. And I think I could probably, if I could be a part of something like that, that would just make my fucking day, is to help scam scammers. But anyway, should have it all figured out, and just be on the lookout. Like, I think we're all aware that we don't click on suspicious emails, but when you get a DM from someone that you talk to all of the time, you just assume it's them, and you can't trust. You got to verify, which is crazy. So that was a pain in the ass. Peter Prince says Kit Boga. Is that a malware? All right, so let's check it out. But man, does it make me nervous about doing what I'm doing. I've got I've got my account numbers. This is in um, privacy mode or whatever. But there is the physical risk of talking about Bitcoin and your portfolio, and then being on social media, and then attending like real life events. So and with and with people getting killed for just talking, um, there's a whole lot to think about with this. But yeah, I did it this way just for transparency. Like, hey, you know, I'm using these strategies in this way, and we can all just watch and see if they actually work in real time, um, to be as credible as possible, because there's a lot of scammers in the options and stock market space too. Um, I've even noticed in some of the comments of my YouTube videos, they'll they'll be like, it'll just be like 5 or 6 bots talking amongst each other to form this pretend conversation, and then they want you to click on people's profiles. I guess I would assume to pay them for a trading service or something, and that's the most legitimate way that you can think about it. I mean, maybe it's just outright scams, um, but I didn't want to be one of those types of companies that only talks about their wins, hides their losses, charges people for bullshit training courses and all that stuff. So uh, this was the way that I decided to do it for just pure authenticity. But I have to keep thinking about the risks. And if Bitcoin and Bitcoin treasury companies continue to become more valuable, then clearly all of us in the space will become wealthier and wealthier, and the risks to our personal and online safety will increase. So if I abruptly retire, maybe I've already got episode 444 in the books, but maybe we can find another cool number. But I enjoy this, and I enjoy the conferences and all of that stuff. So I would like to find a way to keep doing it, but it's got to be safe. Stacking sats doesn't do you any good if you don't live to spend them one day. All right, so this is the IRA. The shares, I rolled up to the 425, but now this bad boy is already in the money. I could just close this position now, but the whole point of selling an option is to sit on your hands and wait for the extrinsic value to drain into your account. And right now, the difference between 425 and 437 is $1,200, which means that there's still $2,900 worth of extrinsic value here to collect. I've only had it open for 7 days, so I don't panic when the price of the stock runs, right? I can just sit on my hands for another 2-3 weeks, maybe even the full 39 days, and then decide, okay, can I roll for a credit? If I tried to roll for a credit now, it probably would be very difficult. But if I hold on to this for like a month, and there's only, $2,000 worth of value here, 1,200 intrinsic and another, 800 extrinsic, then I could easily roll for another 3-4 grand and roll it for a credit instead of a debit. So, But yeah, with this last pump, I am kind of tempted to take my profits here and add more strategy. But this is the last Tesla position that I'm clinging on to by a thread. I dumped all the leverage, and the only thing I have left are these shares, which reminds me I have to log in and vote for Elon's pay package. And that's kind of the only reason, the only thing that I regret not owning even more shares is so that I could have a strong, have more votes. All right, I rolled 13 days ago, but these covered calls are still break even. I could roll this out 2 weeks for a tiny credit, but I think I'll just sit on it for another week or two at least and see what happens to the price. Let's see, I have 7 covered calls, 300 shares, so I must be selling 4 against these calls, and then I've got the poor man's covered calls. So this is all just working fine. The main account, these are not ready to roll. Still the same price I sold them for, even after 14 days. So that's good. Means the price of strategy has at least been going up a little bit over the last 2 weeks. Man, I've been actually holding on to these, and I didn't dollar cost average on into them intentionally so that I could see the full devastation of this trade. I FOMO'd into these 890s when the new strikes became available, I think in November. Yeah. And so this was FOMO and euphoria and thinking, oh yeah, strategy's going to 1,000. And so this was absolutely horrible. This is like 48 grand worth of losses right here. Not Catholic exactly. Bunch of Catholics in my family, but maybe this is penance. This is me flogging myself for making a stupid trade. Got a couple of months left on the Februaries. Got 3 months left for something cool to happen on the Marches. And these are not ready to roll. Oh, yeah. Yes, that is the guy's name. Yeah, that's his YouTube channel, Kit Boga. I had forgotten. Yeah, he is freaking hilarious. And I mean, I have to try not to watch those videos because I will just get sucked in and I will just spend hours watching him torment scammers. I was kind of trying to figure out a way. I actually had a fairly long conversation with this guy once he realized I was onto him, and he kind of he could relax the shenanigans. We actually started to have a regular conversation, and I mean, hopefully Bitcoin fixes this. It's kind of ironic that Bitcoin should fix the economic despair that young people, or anyone really, feels because they just kind of can't make a living honestly. They're being debased by the elites, and like Bitcoin is the solution. But in the meantime, until everyone starts feeling good about the world and the economy, the people who are disillusioned and despondent are actually doing their best to scam people out of the asset that is trying to fix the problem. And I can't really act like I've always been in my youth, I have done some things that would have gotten my ass kicked, rightfully so. And but yeah, I mean, if I could get a hold of some of these guys and get in a room, some solo time, It would be kind of fun. Um, but anyway, hopefully Bitcoin fixes it before too many people get wrecked. All right, not ready to roll. No buying power. This is just sit and wait. Same deal, not ready to roll. So I am still kind of hammering these very aggressive weeklies. They're making me a little bit nervous, but they're still working. They're still um I did have to pay to roll last week's. Um but these are 50% down 50% after only, it says 3 trading days, but that's Friday, so it's counting actual days, not days that the market is open. And there's 4 days left. So maybe let's roll one. See, that doesn't make any sense. If I roll one to the 355 strike, that's the expected move. I mean, I guess I could roll here for a little bit of a credit. Yeah, that's not really worth even rolling. I think I'll just sit and do nothing for another couple days. See what strategy's price does. I added a wolf position last week because everything else was getting kind of expensive. Riot was pumping. Holy shit, still pumping. Oh, let me take a look at this. So this was something that I was copy trading with some friends of mine. We took this Riot position like, Jesus, December 11th. And it was worth about $2 the other day. And I was wondering if we should just exit this position and kind of figure like, hey, this is our best chance to exit at the smallest loss possible. Because when we bought it in December 11th, I guess maybe like literally 3 days later was the only opportunity in 12 months where we could have exited this position for a profit. I guess right here too, January 16th. That's like barely break even. So we've got not very long for, maybe if Bitcoin hits 150, 175, maybe Riot will go to 25 a share and we'll actually make some money off of this. But this would normally be, I guess, 30 more days before I would want to make a decision on this. So maybe we'll get lucky. But the point is, all of the shares that I had, I let get called away. And figured, okay, I'll just go find something cheaper. I think CLSK is also up. Oh, back down a little bit. So pumped to 13. Oh yeah, still at 13. Haven't traded a HUT for quite some time. It used to be trading at 10. So I was trading it back here. And I think when my shares got called away at like 14 or 15, that was probably the last, maybe even 12. Yeah, I got called away at 12 and just never bothered to get back in. So I must have got called away here-ish. And it looks like I could have just stuck with it. Selling cash secured puts here would have worked, and then get assigned here, then called away here. Puts assigned here, called away here. could have kept up with this one. And then the other one is iron. Where is it? Holy shit, 40. So iron, I think I was also trading when it was 10 bucks a share. Got called away here somewhere. Probably $12, $13 a share. Let's see. Oh, I got called away way early. Yeah, I think I got sick of iron because it was trading. It might have been trading in increments of nickels. And by the time they started trading at better ticks, I kind of felt like this was a little bit too expensive for my blood. But people did really well if they were into this one. But anyway, you trade the tickers that you can afford. And so since this is a smaller account, I thought, okay, everything else that I had been trading pumped, to 15 a share-ish. So I added this $11 wolf put. I was trading them when they were around, I don't know, $5 or $6 a share, and then the price crashed back down to $3 earlier this year. So that was kind of a pain in the ass. But it's gaining some life. Would not surprise me. I mean, if Bitcoin continues to just kind of languish, it really wouldn't surprise me if Wolf loses half of these gains from 5 to 11, so maybe back down to 750. Would not be unheard of. But if Bitcoin continues to pump, then hopefully all of my cash secured puts will continue to expire worthless. And if it goes to $20, $30 a share, I'll get priced out of this stock too. And I don't know what else I'll be able to find to trade in a small account. Is it this one? I think this one's still under $5. Oh, shit, 12? Okay, so I haven't looked at this one for a couple of months either. But even this one is pumped to over 10. That's wild. Bitfarms, BITF? Yeah, maybe this one's still cheap. Yeah. So if I get priced out of, holy shit, that was pumping too. What was that, dollar? That's up over 100%. That's interesting. Yeah, if I get priced out of Wolf, then maybe I'll have to. Maybe this will be pumping to $10 a share, and I'll have to resort to trading this one. We'll see. What's up, Dana? Wakey, wakey. So the 1024. So it says that this is worth a penny, but it's probably a wide bid-ask spread. This is one of the ones that I copy trade with my my brother-in-law. So we'll probably have to look at this one. We might need to roll this out and roll the strike up. Where's Rye? Same thing with this. Well, not the same thing with this Rye one. This one's, actually, yeah, maybe. Because we sold it for 77. It's worth 35. So this is ready to roll. So I'll get with him. We need to roll both of our puts here. His account is way smaller. And so I'm not sure if we'll be able to roll both of these up for a credit. He might not have enough buying power for that. So he might also have to dump one of them for Wolf. ASST's price, the options market is still all jacked up. Strive goes up, Strive goes down, and the price of this put that I sold just stays the same. It's like the people who are buying these puts, I don't know if they just keep buying more of them or they just refuse to sell them. Where's my... Yeah, my covered calls can't be ready to roll. Sold them for 7. They're still worth 7. And I don't think I have any buying power to speak of. Yeah, 4,300, but 3,900 is already being used for collateral. What about the IBIT covered call? Sold this one for $1.13, so this is not quite ready to roll yet either. Maybe another week or two. I've had it open for 13 days, so another week is reasonable. All right, that should be it. Yeah, he's the one scamming the scammers. I love when the scammers just freaking just rage quit and just start screaming obscenities and stuff they've done to his mother, and it just fills my heart with joy. All right, appreciate everybody for tuning in, and see you in the next one.